Wahzhazhe. Welcome and thank you for joining us. We are recording this video at the Wahzhazhe Cultural Center in Pawhuska, Oklahoma, the capital of the Osage Nation. Today we're going to make chokers. Alright, let's get started. Alright, let me introduce the materials that are inside your kit. You have 2 strands of 8mm glass beads. Each strand has 50 beads on it. 16 1.5 inch hair pipe bone, 32 7mm metal beads, 9 spacers, 1 2-inch abalone shell, some sinew on a pencil, beeswax, 1 5-inch big eye needle, 2 cowrie shells, 2 ties, and 2 clasps. This is the style of choker we're going to be making today. So on our choker we use clasps, and you don't necessarily need them, but they give us a more finished look. So I'm going to show you how we make these clasps. So to make that, we need to put 4 holes inside your clasp. We're going to put one of our spacers on top of the clasp. Right in the middle, we're going to take a pencil or pen, and we're going to mark our holes, mark our spots where we're going to put our holes. So we've marked our spots. You can use a hole punch. We recommend a hole punch. You can buy a hole punch for $8 or $9 at Walmart, and you would just line it up with that hole and squeeze it through, and it will give you a nice clean finished look like that. If you don't want to buy a hole punch, you can use an awl, an ice pick, or a nail. You go over your hole and carefully punch it through. You might want to put something underneath. So you'll go through like that. You'll kind of, give it a twist, and that will give you a hole like that. Either one will work. We're just stringing some sinew through there. So you have your 4 holes, and you are ready to make your clasp. So the first thing you want to do when we're constructing our mince choker is we're going to take our sinew off our pencil, and you're going to have about 4.5 to 5 feet of sinew. This is enough sinew to make the whole mince choker, 4 rows. So what we're going to do is we're going to split the sinew in half, and with that, each strand is going to make 2 rows. So we're going to split the sinew, and your sinew will come out about this thickness. And if it's a little frayed on the end or it's splitting up, you just take your beeswax, run it through there, and it makes it good as new. So you have your sinew split. Now we're going to lace our big eye needle. We're going to leave a little 3 or 4 inch tail out of there. And now we're going to begin construction of our mince choker. We take one of our spacers, we take our clasp, put our spacer on top. We go through the top hole on the spacer, then we go through the top hole on the clasp. Now we're going to be recreating this pattern right here for our mince choker. We're going to make metal bead, bone, metal bead, spacer, metal bead, bone, metal bead, spacer. Then we'll do our glass beads and recreate the pattern. This string is long enough to make 2 complete rows. So first we're going to start off with a metal bead. Then we go with our 1.5 inch hair pipe bone. Another metal bead. And so this is a simple, a fun, relaxing, activity. But the tricky part is that you start off on the top one here. You want to go to the top one here. You want to line these holes up exactly, and it's starting to take shape. So now I'll create the second row. And I'm just going to continue to thread beads until I complete these first 2 rows. Alright, so we've completed our first row here. So we use 2 strings to make 4 rows. So this is the simple part here. You've completed your first row. Now all you do is run the same string back through to complete your second row. So you're going to go back through your spacer, then through your clasp, come back out, give yourself some slack, now we are ready to repeat our pattern, come back through, and complete our first 2 rows. Okay, so as we come to the end of our second row here, I'm going to show you how to tie it off. So we're completed our second row. It's important to go back through the second hole in your clasp and then through your spacer. So we come out, we're going to remove our needle from our excess sinew. We're going to leave us a little space here to tie off with. Then we're going to cut off our excess. So we've got it like this. We want to not pull it completely tight, but we don't want to leave it too loose. We want to have a little tension in these first 2 rows, or just like, you know, not saggy. So we're going to take it, we're going to give it 4 square knots. 4 good square knots. Left over right, right over left. 4 good knots. And that will secure our first 2 rows. And when we come back, now we will attach our 2 ties. So we're going to come up our tie through each one of these holes on the clasps. And so if the tie is kind of hard to go through, one thing you can do is just take any pair of little scissors and kind of make a little point so it's easier to go through. Then you take that tie and you come back through the top of the hole in your tie and you pull it and kind of cinches on itself. And this is how we create our ties for our men's choker. So we're going to do that again. We have our ties and our clasp. And so we will affix our abalone shell on the middle spacer, just like that. I'm going to come back through here. And so we're going to pull them even. We're going to tie 1 square knot. And then we're going to come through our abalone shell on one side. And we're going to lace the other through this other hole right here. All right. I'm going to split these up and use some extra of these glass beads and metal beads to make a design. So, 2 glass beads, 1 metal bead, and 2 glass beads, then I'll tie on my cowrie shell. So I got my shell here. My pattern is going to be, you know, 2 glass, 1 metal, 2 glass. Now I'm going to attach my shell. I'm simply going to lace it through here a couple times, through this hole with my needle. Pull it snug. I'll come back in here, a little snug, and I'll just wrap it around the, so this is how I do it. I wrap it around the shell. I come back through here like that, and I just tie it on itself. And I try to get the knot to come right there. So I'll do it again. I come around here, I pull it through there, whoops, just pull it on itself, just like that. And that is how I attach my cowrie shells. And so 2 knots is good, but you can do it as many times as you want. If you want to do 4 knots, that's a good practice right there. We have come to the end of our project, and as you can see, we have our 16 1.5-inch hair pipe bone. On this project, we're using 72 glass beads, 35 metal beads, our 2-inch abalone shell, our 2 cowrie shells, and this is an example of how your project could look. We want to encourage you to check us out on social media, Wahzhazhe Cultural Center on Facebook and YouTube. Thank you for joining us. Wewena.